Hey, what's going on? This is Brian Joseph, 5 Stones Digital. In this video, we're going to talk about the NAB Show and some of the technologies that were introduced last week. Myself and my friend Craig Kilgore are going to talk about our top 3 choices and why we chose them, and also offer some rebuttal as to what the other person chose. So let's get into it.
NAB just wrapped up, and just like every other year, there's been nothing but bombs dropped, and you know, I'm excited about it. My top 3, if I had to pick my top 3 things that I'm excited for under $1,000, this would be it. So let me start with my number 3. For me, my number 3 would be the DJI RS4 gimbal. Now, we all know DJI, or at least I know, in my opinion, DJI has kind of led the field when it comes to gimbals. There've been lots of gimbals from lots of different companies over the years, but for most people would agree that the DJI Ronin has kind of led the field in that area. So now they've dropped the RS4 and the RS4 Pro, and it's got some extra features on there, features that I've never had before, so I'm completely excited for them. In fact, I have the DJI RS4 here with me now. So here it is in all its glory. I've been kind of getting used to it and just trying to learn my way around it. But yeah, I'm totally excited, totally stoked to be using the DJI RS4 for my future productions. One of the cool things about it is its ability to just be so flexible. Something I've never had before is the ability to go from landscape mode to be able to flip the entire camera into vertical mode with hardly any effort at all. My last gimbal didn't even have that ability whatsoever. So being able to flip from landscape to like a portrait mode to shoot your TikToks and your YouTube stories and Instagram reels and things like that makes it a game changer for me. Now, also it comes with features like being able to lock, touch screen, being able to lock the screen so that you don't accidentally change any settings while you're working. That's a huge plus. It's got stronger motors now so that you can use it with heavier cameras. It's got multiple RSA ports that kind of match the DJI, the RS4 Pro. So they're more compatible in between the two of them. So the accessories that'll fit and work with the RS4 Pro will also fit with the RS4. One of the coolest things that I've discovered in using it is the fact that adjusting and balancing the gimbal is so much more easier than gimbals I've had in the past. Now, I don't know much about the RS3, but this gimbal has like a Teflon coating on it, and that allows for like micro adjustments. If you ever had to balance a gimbal, it can be kind of a pain because you go to slide the plate, it'll jump forward a little bit, and you try to slide it back and it jumps back. It's got this like slick Teflon coating to where you can slowly, easily slide the plate forward. And even with the knob, there's a little fine tuning of the knob that allows you to move the plate forward, move the plate backwards, and just get everything situated a lot easier. And so for me, the DJI RS4 is definitely in my top 3, but for now, it's going to be number 3 for me.
Hey, what's up, man? So the DJI RS4 gimbal. Yeah, I can feel you on that one. Yeah, I got the RS3 right here, and I've used it for a couple of different things. I like the way the feel of it, as far as just the balance and whatnot. Now, controls can be a little finicky at times when it comes to, like you said in your video, trying to adjust the appropriate balance to ensure that everything is aligned properly. It can be problematic. It can be difficult at times. Good to hear that the RS4 has made some improvements. I know for what you do, as far as a lot of mobile camera work and whatnot, this would be a value add for you. And just any types of time savings improvements would, make it worth its while. So, solid choice for number 3. So, my number 3 item is the ATEM micro panel. The ATEM micro panel is a device that's designed to interface with a video switcher. So you may say, well, I've seen the ATEM Mini or an ATEM Mini Extreme. What does this have to do with that? Well, ATEM has a different categories of different lines of video switchers. The A10 Mini Series is really designed for small businesses or individuals that are just getting started, or they have a limited number of inputs, like they're not going to go beyond 8 at the most. Meanwhile, they have a, let's call it mid to upper tier line called the Constellation Series. The Constellation Series starts with 10 inputs and goes all the way up to 40. So you'll find those within larger environments, like larger churches or performance halls, where you have up to 10 to 40 inputs in order to connect to. So not necessarily a camera, but you can also connect different things like your graphics or whatnot. And you'll be surprised. You can get up to 10 inputs fairly quickly if you sit down and think about it. So why do I like the micro panel? Well, with the A10 Constellation Series, it starts roughly around $900 to $1,000 or so, as far as for 10 inputs. But the interesting thing was, prior to the micro panel being released, they had what's called the A10 Advanced panel. The A10 Advanced panel comes with LEDs. It's used for controlling the video switcher. So if you needed a variety of buttons in order to determine which camera is going to go live, or what graphics are coming up, how to key out certain graphics, what have you, you need a control surface. And that's what the Constellation Series is really designed about. You have the video switcher in the communications closet, and then you have the control panel by the operator. So the ATEM control panel, or excuse me, the ATEM advanced panel, the starting point is roughly $3,000, which could be up to 2x or 3x times the price of the Constellation Series. Yeah, I know, it doesn't really make sense. So the nice thing about the ATEM micro panel that was just released for, I think, $700, it allows you to accomplish the same functionality, albeit without the LED screens and some of the finer features of the advanced panel. But it's in a small form factor. The form factor is roughly the size of the ATEM Extreme, so maybe 1 foot by 5 inches or so. And you still have the same degree of control, albeit it's not as efficient as the advanced panel, but you have the same degree of control. In addition, they've offered Bluetooth connectivity, so you can use this ATEM micro panel in order to connect to your laptop or your desktop, which is running ATEM software. So it just offers that fine-tuned control in a wireless format for, what, 1/5 the price of the ATEM Advanced panel. So that's my number 3 item.
So for my number 2, it's definitely going to be the the Tilta Chronos iPhone ecosystem that they've come up with. I've tried lots of cages and setups for my iPhone. I have the iPhone Pro Max. So if you don't know, the iPhone Pro Max allows you to record in ProRes and Apple Log, and it allows you to be able to record somewhat like a camera as far as the look goes, and get that high quality, it's almost cinematic like footage. But trying to get everything in one package has kind of been tough. So here are the 2 style cages I've used for my iPhone, and Tilta has kind of vastly improved on that. The first one I have here is by Small Rig, and you open it from the side, slide the phone in, and it's a decent cage. It's a decent setup. This other one is a little less convenient. It's a bigger cage, and what it has you do is kind of mount it with MagSafe in the middle there, but it's not very secure. If you bump this, it'll come right out. So what Tilta has done is they come up with a cage that's similar to all the cages that are out there right now, but their cage is kind of revolutionary. It allows you, one of the things that allows you to do is connect a handle that provides power. So within the handle, you have a battery that provides power all the way around the case, so you don't have to have cables running to all sorts of different devices. For example, maybe a light, you attach the light to the top of the cage, and then it receives power directly from the cage and from the handle. Also, they have tons of accessories that go along with this. They have a fan that goes around the back that mounts to the back of the phone that helps keep the phone cool, because if you're shooting lots of video with these phones, it can be, the phone can get a little bit warm. The handle that you can get with the cage also has a dial or a knob right in the middle of it, And what that does, it allows you to pull focus. Think about that. That's freaking amazing. Like, that's why I'm so pumped with this. The versatility that comes along with this system that they've created is just unmatched. No one has even come close to what Tilta is doing with this. They also have an ND filter system for the cage, which allows you to slap on something like a Blackmagic mist type filter to get that nice softened look for your footage. Various ND filters and polarizing filters. And they've made the whole system so easy and so quick to change in and out that you really can take your your phone out for a shoot without having to bring your camera. Like, you can really capture some really great footage without having to haul a big rig along with you. So the whole system, if you're gonna pull focus with, you can either use the PD handle that comes with the system or that you purchase along with the system. You can also switch over and use the Nucleus Nano 2. And, if that's something that you have already, you can, detach that from your camera rig, connect it to the phone cage, and pull focus using the Nucleus Nano 2. That to me is insane. That's crazy, and that's awesome all at the same time. Now, of course, to do all this, you're gonna have to use something like the Blackmagic camera app. If you haven't used that camera app by now, then I gotta tell you, it's one of the best camera apps, if not the best camera apps out there. So if you're gonna shoot footage with your iPhone or even your Android phone, the Blackmagic camera app, I don't think anything comes close to it. And I've used lots of apps over the years. So like I said, it's a whole huge ecosystem that they've created for the iPhone. And depending on which devices, which accessories you get to go along with it, that can determine what you can do or can't do, what features you might be missing out on. For example, if you get their little hub, you're able to provide a clean HDMI feed out to like an Atomos Ninja V. If you wanted, you could monitor footage from an actual field monitor and rig up your whole iPhone to be, like I said, a whole cinematic camera setup. It's just something I'm excited. I can't wait till they drop this thing. Now, I do gotta say it's a little bit on the pricey side to get the entire kit, to get everything that goes along with it. I think they call it their ultimate kit. It's about $500, a little over $500. So that's kind of a lot, unless you're taking your iPhone, your mobile phone footage, your mobile phone recording really seriously. If it's, if you're a casual video recorder, then of course you don't need all this stuff. But if you want to take everything to the next level, then this is the kit to have. Like I said earlier, I don't think there's anything that comes close to this. So that's why I put it at my number 2.
So number 2, the Kronos iPhone cage ecosystem. I must admit, I've never heard of this before your video. I don't really use cages that much specifically, but I have a Samsung, so don't hate. Being able to have the power distributed through the cage itself, that was the selling point for me. Because as you stated, normally you would need to have separate batteries, separate wiring, to have it all integrated into one system. For $500, yeah, that's really impressive. Now, to be honest, to have an integrated system to which you have to go back to them, Kronos, for every accessory that you want to use, that disturbs me a little bit. But just to see the way it's being presented and to have everything integrated into one system, cohesive system, to minimize the additional batteries and wiring and things you would need to do normally with a V-mount or a USB battery pack or something like that. Yeah, win-win. So solid choice, number 2. All right. So my number 2 item is the A750 wireless HDMI kit by Teradek. I use the wireless HDMI kit for a number of different scenarios, specifically with an indoor environment where the cable can't be routed, underneath the floor, it's a tripping hazard or whatnot, or an outdoor environment where I need the camera person to actually have some space, some movement, the ability to navigate a crowd or whatnot. For example, last couple of years during the Johnny Lawrence Summer Jazz Concert Series, we've had a cameraman out in the field when the performers wanted to make a grand entrance and played through the crowd. My partner Jason Moore, as you can see here, had his camera out and was following Mr. Lawrence and as well as Yancy. So let me tell you about the device itself. It has a transmission range of up to 750 feet. It can allow for 4K versus maybe the 1080p and the 60 frames per second I'm using now with my Hollyland 400 Pro S. And it also can channel hop as far as frequencies. So it has a broader range of frequencies that it can adapt to if there's a lot of noise or a lot of radio waves being used in the environment. It can adjust as needed to ensure that the signal is going to be transmitted appropriately from the camera or the transmitter to the receiver. So within environments where you just don't have that degree of control as far as your cable routing and whatnot, would be an ideal solution for me. As I stated before, we use it outdoors for the Johnny Summer Jazz Concert Series in order to allow for a wireless camera. But there's also another scenario that I was thinking about using it specifically this year. So as I stated before, you can actually connect the transmitter to a camera or a device that's actually transmitting a signal. So the idea I had was, we have roughly about 5 or 6 camera people out there, but they don't have the ability to actually see the live program when we're out in the jazz concert series. So with this device, what I'll be able to do is send the program out from the video switcher and allow them to actually have receivers, them being the camera people, they would have receivers mounted on their cameras. So with it being a zero latency device, they would be able to see a live feed of the performance. The way we have it set up right now, I think that will be a value add because right now we don't have a true means of communication. So that's my number 2 choice, the Teradek A750 wireless HDMI transmitter. I feel it's quite a capable device. I would look forward to using it. So that's my number 2.
I can see why you would go with the A750. Wow. It's pretty incredible being able to send video from one source wirelessly to multiple receivers at the same time that's pretty useful and pretty incredible at the same time. I don't even understand how that works, how it's able to do that. So yeah, I definitely could see why that would be in your top 3. For me, I'd have to pass on it because mostly just because I don't have the size crew. I don't have that number of cameras to really take advantage of it being able to send to different receivers, different monitors and things like that. It's almost always me shooting by myself. And if I'm lucky, I can have one other person with me. But in the future, hopefully I get to the point where I could use something like that, being able to send video to the client and maybe a focus puller and just other people on the set. That's just incredible. Teradek has kind of always led the space when it comes to wireless transmission, and I don't see anybody catching up to them anytime soon. Now, as for my number 1, like I said, there's a lot of things that got announced at NAB, but for me, this is me personally, my number 1 thing that I'm excited for, my number 1 thing to recommend for under $1,000 would be the DJI Focus Pro. Now I know it's another DJI product, but it's so good and so handy that it's something I'm going to have. I can't wait till this thing comes out. So what the DJI Focus Pro is, it's a LiDAR based system that allows you to take a manual lens and add autofocusing. That's the best way I can put it. If you've ever wanted to play around with some of these retro lenses, some of these old school cheap lenses that give you a nice, unique character and feel to your footage, but you've been scared to play around with manual video recording and manual shooting, then something like this might be for you. I have a couple manual lenses, and I gotta tell you, it's tough when you're first learning how to do this. Pulling focus on a manual lens, unless you have lots of years of experience, it can be challenging. So having this system is a game changer. It's definitely a game changer for me, and I'm sure it's a game changer for a lot of people. So let me give you a couple specs on the system itself. Enhanced LiDAR module enables continuous autofocus and tracking on human subjects up to 20 meters away. It's got advanced mode. AMF mode allows focus locking and unlocking by holding and releasing the dial. So by doing that, you'll be able to transfer focus between subjects in the foreground or subjects in the background. So not only can you use autofocus on a manual lens, but you'll be able to more easily pull focus from front to back or back to front, or more or less get that pulling focus look that you get from more professional footage or more experienced focus pullers. It is also compatible with DJI's ecosystem, meaning that you can take this and attach it to something like the RS4, DJI's gimbal, and use that to pull focus while operating a gimbal, and while doing this all solo, working by yourself with no team at all. So if you're a solo shooter like myself, this can be a big thing. This can be a big help to your productions and just give you the help you need when you don't have the extra hands around.
So the DJI Focus Pro, yeah, I can see for what you do, this would be your number one, because this will be a huge time saver. Just be able to have it dedicated towards the focus element of the shot, so that way you could worry about the framing and just the composition. Yeah, bro. Yeah, this is a solid choice for number one. I gotta be honest with you, I'm curious about the LiDAR aspect of it. Yeah, just be able to see how it works and just how it interfaces with your camera, and how compatible it is, you know, with different cameras, different mounts, different frames, or excuse me, different lenses. But all in all, yeah, I can understand why you would choose this as number one. So, huge time saver, huge benefit to what you do. So, cool choice for number one. So my number one item is the Insta360 X4 8K camera. It's an action camera. So you can take it to, you know, your destination location. You can take it on the water, dirt bike, mount it on a plane, mount it on your car. It's designed to capture those unique shots that hardly anyone else would see. Now the cool thing about this is that it's also 360 degrees. So you can, after you've already taken a shot, you can reframe the orientation. So perhaps you might be looking at one item, but you'll catch something in the corner that perhaps is a different shot. You can literally rotate the view after the fact in order to catch that secondary view. So you can't really justify it a lot for what I do on a day-to-day basis. So this is really about fun. So for $499, this is my number one item.
As far as the Insta360 X4 goes, I mean, that thing is a beast. That, I don't understand how they're able to continually make that camera better. I mean, 360 cameras, I never, you know, in the early years, you know, being a few years ago, I never thought they would reach this level. I never thought they would stick around, because if you go back and look at some of the early footage, I mean, they were just bad looking. And, you know, trying to get a small camera like this to stitch together 360 footage, it always looked kind of wonky to me. But now, man, I gotta say, like, the X4 kind of makes me want to get the 360. My only issue is every time I get an action style camera, it always ends up sitting, because I'm not that go-getter kind of guy when it comes to outdoor action, you know, outdoor sports and water sports and things like that. So I always think I'm going to need an action camera, but I always end up having it sit on the side. So for me personally, I would pass on the 360, not because it's not good. I mean, 8K footage, that's insane. But for me, I know I would have it sitting on the side and not be getting the use out of it like I should or could be. Well, that's it for me. I had a lot of fun doing this, my first time doing this, and I hope next year to get to NAB. I've never been to NAB. I've been to Vegas a couple times, but never when this is going on. So hopefully next year I can make the NAB and see all of this and geek out all in person. So thanks for having me, and I'll see you guys later.
So thank you, Craig, man. I appreciate you participating in this exercise. I had a lot of fun making it, a lot of retakes. Let us know what you think below in the comments, and hopefully you find this some value. If you don't mind, please click the subscribe and the like button down below. That way it'll let the YouTube algorithms know that this is some valuable content. And with that, take care, God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.